component with the need to be serious-minded, and how do you accomplish that?
Well, that falls on me. I mean, that's just how you lead the group, how you lead the meetings, how you talk to them, how you respond to certain things, the leadership that you develop on your team, the understanding of that's why we got the signs out there with football focus, clock in. When we go to work, we go to work. But we try to make sure that we find opportunities to have some fun along the way. I think it's important. I never want guys to dread coming over here. I think guys, that's the other thing. I think guys have looked forward to coming to practice, look forward to preparing, and so I think everything. It's your staff. It's making sure that we celebrate all wins, not just the big ones, and even the wins where maybe didn't necessarily play as well as you'd like, but you found a way to win. So I think that there's a lot of ways that we go about balancing that, and then again, how I manage the schedule, how I manage the staff.
What do you remember about walking off the field last January after the national championship game, and whatever those feelings were, how did those feelings shape the approach?
I mean, I was disappointed, very disappointed, obviously, that because I knew we were good enough, and I knew we were in position to win, and we didn't get it done. But at the same time, very thankful for the effort. I think that, to me, that's always how I want our players to be defined, is how we play. I don't ever want to be defined by a scoreboard. Sometimes you can play great and lose. Sometimes you can play really bad and win. I don't want to be defined by a scoreboard. When I look at the tape, when I meet with the guys, how did we compete? How did we prepare? What was our commitment? That's the things to me that matter the most. And those guys, they gave all they had. It's a game of a few plays. We played our butts off, playing a really good team. A lot of times when people lose, they don't want to give the opponent any credit. They're really good. Sometimes their guy might be a little better than your guy in certain situations or in that moment, and you tip your hat to them. But I was very, very disappointed, again, because we were in position and I knew we were good enough, but also very, very proud of my team and their heart and how they played and how they competed all the way to the last second on the clock. And to me, when you can look in the mirror and know that you did the best that you can, I can live with the results. I mean, that's just, to me, I'm not going to be defined by a result. I'm going to be defined by how we go about it. And that's how I measure things. So if you can look in the mirror and know you did the very best that you could do, and you laid it on the line, you can live with whatever result comes.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, when Chad left, I mean, you could have gone outside and found, a bigger name coordinator. What gave you the belief that Tony and Jeff were ready for what they've done? And I'm guessing they've, exceeded expectations.
Well, I mean, because they were ready. I raised them. I mean, literally. I'm here every day. I work with them every day. I don't have to, I got 1,000 text messages of every great coach out there and plenty of advice from everybody that thinks they know what's best. But, I'm not driven by that. I'm driven, if I'm not going to be successful, it's going to be because it didn't work my way. And what I believe, not because I did what somebody else thinks is best. So it was the same way when I hired Chad. It was the same deal. But very convicted in what we do, and I know exactly how I want to do it. I'm not looking for, somebody to come in here and do what they want. That ain't who we are. It ain't ever going to be that way. It's even when I hired Chad. I just needed some answers that he could bring that we would have gotten to. Probably would have taken a couple more years, but I watch them every day. I mean, I'm at work with them. I mean, they were ready. As simple as that. I've always believed in promoting from within when feasible. I got promoted from within. You know, I was the GA that got hired as a full-time coach at 26 years of age at Alabama by Gene Stallings. He could have hired anybody. He could have hired anybody. And, you know, he hired me. But I'd earned it. You know, nobody else knew what I had earned, but he did. And that's why he gave me the job. And Tony had earned it. Jeff had earned it through their actions, through not through entitlement, through their actions, through what they had earned, their efforts, their football knowledge, the way their loyalty, their commitment to the philosophy of the program. And again, it's not always feasible to do that, depending on the position and the timing and all that type of stuff. But that, like I said, I've made a bunch of decisions over 8 years. That ranks up there as probably the easiest. Took about 10 seconds to make that one. And I'd say, yeah, they've done a pretty good job.
Speaking of that, how much have you kept in touch with Billy Napier over the years?
Oh, we stayed in touch. In fact, I bumped up to him. I can't remember why I was up there. I think when I was up with somebody. We rode up to the Highlands right before the season started and saw he and Allie, his wife, up there. Had a good visit with him, talked to him on the phone. We've seen each other on the road. So I've stayed in touch with him. Very, very proud of Billy and you know, the job that he's done, and will continue to do.
Piggybacking off the question before, your first game that you coached against Georgia Tech in 08, I think the ESPN announcers were saying we could grade out Dabo as having a C in this game, and you had Terry Don on the sideline and everything. That day, did you feel like you had the formula to get to this success 8, 9 years later, or did you feel like you had to develop this formula to get where you are right now?
No, I thought I had the formula the day they named me interim. But you don't go poof, the magic dragon. It just doesn't work that way. It's a hell of a lot of work. It's got to be put in. You got to, you know, especially where we were. I mean, you know, in every area of our program, infrastructure, staffing, facilities, you name it. You know, we were way behind, and not even close in some of those areas to where we needed to be if we were serious about being great. But I did feel like that we had the brand, and I felt like we had the tradition and the passion to be very successful. But absolutely, I mean, from day one, that was the goal, the vision, the plan. But it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it's you build it and change it through your decision making, through recruiting, through discipline, through graduation. All of those things are a part of that. Through failing and growing through that, through having successes and building upon that. You know, every off season, the way you handle your off season program, your strength conditioning, it just all counts. And you know, we've just gotten better and better and better. To be honest with you, the team I'm probably the most proud of was 2010, and I said that after that season when everybody was ready to run me out of here, because we lost 5 games by 6 points or less. But I knew more then. I knew right then that we had a chance to really have something special here. By how I watched those guys, how they responded, what I saw in the locker room. I mean, it was just incredible. I saw the culture starting to take root, even though we weren't getting the results, and even to this day. And you know what? I give Terry Don Phillips a ton of credit for that because he let me be me. He supported me, and you know, I remember losing to South Carolina in 2010, and I coming down that hall right there, and my wife meets me outside the door, and she's got, you know, tears in her eyes, and she's just going, "I'm sorry, babe. It was a tough, you know, obviously a very disappointing day, and it had been a disappointing season." And she said, "You know, Terry Don's in your office." And so, you know, I walked from that glass door to my office thinking I'm getting ready to be fired, and literally. And in fact, I said to myself, I said, "Well, hey, did the best I could do. I'm thankful for the opportunity, and God never says oops." That was kind of really what I said. Took a deep breath, and he even had the light on. Door was kind of cracked, and I walk in the office, and It's dark. And Terry Don's sitting on the couch. I mean, it's right after the game, you know. I think I just walked out of the press thing, and he's sitting on the couch in there, and I just sat down, and y'all know Terry Don's not a man of many words, and he just looked at me and he said, Dabo, let me tell you something. He said, I know you're disappointed. He said, and there's going to be a lot of criticism for you and me. He said, but let me tell you something. I'm more confident right now at this moment that you're the guy for this job than I was when I hired you. You just do whatever you need to do, continue to do things the way you've been doing them, and I believe with all my heart things are going to work out. Gave me a hug, got up and left. And that's rare. That's rare. And so, you know, that was, but it was also very empowering to me at that time because I felt that, and for him to see that, and when we started that season, I remember coming in here after the season, and my exact words to all you media folks were, hey, I know everybody's disappointed, but when 2020 gets here, it's going to be the best decade in Clemson football history. And, you know, just like when we all wanted to fire Catanzaro, and I said, hey, this kid's going to leave here as one of the best we've ever had here. So I think you got to have a belief, and you got to have some vision to be able to achieve anything great. That's the only way. If you don't believe, ain't nobody else going to believe in you. So, you know, I give Terry Don Phillips a ton of credit for believing in me when I needed it.
I've been thinking about this for a couple of days. One of the first things you said when you got the interim job in 2008 was, we've got pocket tens and we're going all in. So I'm curious.
More like pocket fives.
I
overshot.
What's the hand that you're holding now?
We got a really good hand. I'm in the blind. I ain't telling you. We got a really good hand. We got as good a hand as anybody out there. You know, you got at least a king high flush, and you hope they don't have the ace. That's all it's going to beat you. So we got a really, really good hand, and you know, we've been all in since day one, and we're still all in to this day with everything we got. And that's about being committed to being the best you can be in everything you do. That's the standard of Clemson. That's the standard. You know, Alabama ain't the target. Clemson's the target, because our standard is what we're all after, and try to be the best that we can be.
Coach, as much as you've enjoyed this journey with this group, you mentioned that last year going to Arizona was a blur at times. How do you soak in these last moments you all have together as a team while still this task at hand?
Yeah, it was. I couldn't even. I was doing the itinerary for this week, and I'm kind of getting all that stuff planned. I'm like, good God, we're there 4 nights. I thought we were there like a day and a half last year, because we get there Friday night, there's Saturday night, there's Sunday night. You know, play the game Monday, and I have no idea what time we'll get back to the hotel. It was just, I don't know. I just forget. It just was such a blur. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed every part of it. I try to always take a moment. I'll have a lot of quiet time between now. To me, that's what, for me, I take a lot of quiet time just to calm myself and have some peace and some time with the Lord, and just to be thankful for this opportunity, because I know very few people get this chance, and I'm just blessed to have been able to do it as a player, to have an opportunity to be a part of it as a coach, to have a special group of players and people around me to share it with, have a great family. So I just try to keep the main thing, and you know, really keep my eyes on the right things. You know, I enjoy preparing. I enjoy, you know, some late nights right now, but I enjoy that too. You know, we'll get rest in due time, but we got a lot of work to do to get this team ready, and that's my responsibility. So I have no idea what will happen in the game, but the one thing I know is this team's going to show up, and this team will play with every ounce of what they got, and that's all you can ask.
On an individual level, winning or losing on Monday, what does that mean for Deshaun's ultimate legacy here?
Nothing to me. You know, if he wins it, he just another thing to add on his resume, and if he doesn't win it, it won't. Because he's going to be nobody will be more prepared. Nobody will play harder. His legacy is well established here, in my opinion. This guy's a phenomenal winner, and nothing that happens Monday night is going to change that for me. You know, it may change that for somebody else out there, but not for me. This guy's the best player in the country this year and last year, and that's just so I don't need him to stand on a stage and hold the trophy up to have that validated for me. I would love that for him because I think he deserves it. He's worked hard for it, but he's one guy. You know, it's a team thing.
How is this team better equipped to deal with O.J. Howard this go
around? Well, hopefully we're going to do our job first of all, and play the coverages and techniques that are called. We just had have our eyes on the right things. You know, simple as that. We two of his big long touchdowns. I mean, it's just basic football, and try to do too much. Eyes on the wrong things. You got to be incredibly disciplined with your eyes, and very simple plays, nothing complex or anything like that. Just again, guys trying to do too much, and so it came down to the little things. You know, it came down to very simple things, and you can't take those things for granted. So that's really what you got to do. Just everybody do your job and have your eyes on the right things, and make sure that you're in position. If you're in position, now it becomes competitive. But if you don't have your eyes on the right things and you don't get yourself in position, then they expose you, and that's what happened. So I mean, we didn't even touch him on 2 of those plays. We didn't have anybody around him. It's and from a coaching standpoint, obviously we didn't do a good enough job on the basics. You can't assume as a coach, even though it's something that maybe is day one installation, you can't assume, man, you gotta reemphasize every little thing, because that's what it comes down to. The big things we did a really good job with. It came down to the little things. I mean, it's the same thing. We had, ball exchange, fumble up in the fourth quarter on the plus 40 going in, and they really hadn't stopped us at that point, and we fumbled the exchange. And now we lose yards, got sacked the next play, end up having to punt. So, that's not taking anything. That's us. I mean, we got to control what we control. They make good plays. They make good play. I mean, that play the kid made, I don't know who that was. Ben, I think, was hitting the quarterback. He throws that ball on the sideline. It might have been T.J. Green over there, but I mean, it was incredible. We had great coverage. We were right where we needed to be. Big guy just made an unbelievable play. Well, that's just the game. I mean, that's ball. Let's reload. We're in position. We're where we need to be. Their guy made a play. Their quarterback made a play, and the receiver made a play. Those are things that are going to happen. But control what you control. And so ball handling, fundamentals, eyes on the right things, alignments. Give yourself a chance to be successful, because it's hard to overcome those critical type mistakes against a team like Alabama.
What effect did that onside kick have on that football game, and were you just stunned?
Well, it gave them an extra possession. We felt like we had good control of the game right there, but it gave them an extra possession. Stunned? No. Pissed? Yes. It's a good play, but they got the ball at the minus 49. It's not like they got the ball on the goal line. Let's play defense. 2 plays later, we like I said earlier, we're trying to do too much. We're in cover 3, and this guy runs right down the field. Because our eyes aren't on the right things, not in the right spot, trying to do too much, biting on something we shouldn't be biting on, trying to help somebody else do their job, and it gave them another possession, which put them in position, but that has nothing to do with scoring. Ball minus 49. I mean, they still got 51 yards to go, but it was a big swing in momentum for sure, and again, gave them that extra possession, and it was disappointing.
Coach, by my count, you scored touchdowns in 19 of your last 21 trips to the red zone in the last 4 games, 3 or 4 the other night. Has there just been a heightened sense of urgency in terms of protecting the football, not turning it over?
Yeah, I don't think so. We've had a heightened sense of urgency from day one. We've played well all year. We just had a little funk of turnovers. And, Mike Williams turns one over inside. I mean, he's fighting for extra yards and just kind of freaky plays. That stuff happens and usually comes in spurts when it does. We've had some crazy situations, but I think the guys have always had that sense of urgency. But to answer your question, yes, we've just been better at taking care of the ball in those areas, and it's kind of turned the other way for us. And we had a couple interceptions the other night, but we've done a good job taking care of the ball. We've only given up one score this year. Obviously, the pick six that we threw against NC State, that's the only score that the defense has had on us. And we haven't given up any scores on special teams. So if that continues, then we'll have a chance. We'll have a chance.
People are sort of amazed at how you guys have had, whether last year Kevin Dodd or this year, Cleveland Farrell kind of coming out of the woodwork in these big games. Is that the kind of thing that feeds on itself in the program where, maybe a guy who's not playing a lot kind of sees that opportunity? Yeah,
it's no different than Alabama. I mean, it's the exact same. I mean, would they have 7, 8 guys going off the defense last year? They just stick another guy in there. We want to be that type of program. Y'all have heard me say many times, you can have a bunch of starters back, but if those starters weren't any good last year, you're probably not real happy they're back. Sometimes you can get better with that next guy. That guy's developed. This is still a developmental game. And it's like if guys don't play great as a freshman or they redshirt, we just all forget about them because we're worried about the next freshman that's coming in and how great he's going to be. And we just kind of forget about those guys. And the truth of the matter is if you bring in the right type of people in your program and they're committed to the work, to the work ethic and all those things, they're going to eventually pan out if they're talented and have the work ethic. Kevin Dodd's a perfect example of that. He's had good players in front of him. He was a developmental guy, and he was ready when he got his opportunity. Vic Beasley's the same way. He wasn't a very good player when he got here. Had never played. He was a running back. And in fact, I texted him the other day and said, "Man, aren't you glad we moved you to defensive end? You still want to play running back?" But I just think that for us, we've done a nice job from an evaluation standpoint. We've not gotten caught up. A lot of people, why'd you sign Adam Humphries? Oh, you just want to get Sharon Peak. What a joke. Guy starting in the NFL had 10 catches for 100 yards the other night. No, it's because we've stayed committed to what we know, not what other people think they know. We don't worry about pleasing somebody with being a recruiting ranking. Sometimes you sign the 5-star guy, and we're going to recruit the best players, but sometimes we evaluate the 5-star guy, and we go, nope. And we're disciplined enough to move on. Maybe it's the character. Maybe it's just personality. Maybe we don't think he's as good as everybody else. And then the flip side of that, we've had a lot of these guys that are 2 stars, T.J. Green, who we beat UAB to get, Grady Jarrett, who we beat Buffalo to get. We've been disciplined the other way, and we go, what are we missing? What's wrong with this guy? And you go through your process, and he's like, well, Adam Humphries, this guy can play. I don't know why nobody else likes him, but we love him. And so I think we've done a really, really good job of evaluating, getting the right guys, and then developing them. And we've had it all across the board. We've had the Sammy Watkins that have showed up that just get them out there, and here we go. And then we've had the Vic Beasleys. We've had the Kevin Dodds. We've had those guys that have developed as players, even on this football team. Look at Jadar, and look at the season that he's had. Ryan Carter, I had to call Ryan Carter and apologize to him because of all the media rhetoric that the only reason we were offering him was because of another player. That's sad that you have to deal with that. We don't do that here. If I offer guys because I think he's good enough to help us win, and he fits this program, and Ryan Carter has been a really, really good player for us. Wayne Gallman. How many people wanted Wayne Gallman as a running back? So I think it's a combination of all those things of making good decisions in the recruiting process, getting the people who fit our culture, our program, the philosophy of the program, guys who love football, and surrounding them with, other players and then development in every area of their life as they go through your program. I think all of that matters. So now all of a sudden, you don't panic. What are you going to do when Deshaun Watson leaves? We're going to put the next guy in there, and we're going to compete and go recruit, and we'll have some good players battle it out. And I promise you, whoever runs out there is going to be a good player. And you keep moving forward, just like we have with, any other players. Same thing with coaches.
Coach, the other day, the referee against Ohio State, they did not make the first down. You had to call timeout. What did the referee come over and say to you?
That's between me and him. But I was just trying to buy some time because I didn't think he made it. And I was trying to get a little confirmation. I was trying to get somebody to jump on the grenade from up top. And there was a delay, I think, in the replay that they were able to see up there. So I was trying to buy as much time. And, I think they were looking at it. And at that point, I would have had to use another timeout to challenge it, even though I thought we would have won it now, because I don't think he got it. But it was just didn't do it at the time. We were playing good defense, and we just kind of reloaded and went forward from there. But he was good though. He was good.
Hints at all about the grabbing incident that made some waves after the game on Saturday?
Yep. Sure did.
Any hint at all about what was?
I mean, I think he said it best. I mean, just being goofy. You guys know Christian. He's just a guy that can be a little silly at times, but we don't have a better young man on the team than Christian Wilkins. This guy's phenomenal, but shouldn't have done it. Apologize for it. Apologize to the kid, and that's really it. Nothing else to say about it.
You mentioned a bunch of the guys that didn't come in highly recruited, and certainly one of those guys on that list is Hunter Renfrow. He has had some very spectacular games in some of his biggest games, particularly when you look at Alabama with all these big five-star Goliaths, and he goes out there and has the game he had last year. Is there something sort of about that David versus Goliath thing with him that he kind of enjoys being on that stage and being overlooked a little bit?
Well, I think he's just very confident. I mean, that's the one thing you can't measure in the recruiting process. You can't cut them open and look at their heart. You can't cut them open and look at their drive and will. But what you can measure is how big they are. And he was about 150 pounds coming out of high school. He was, Hunter was a guy that a lot of people noticed and would look at and go, dang, this kid's a good player. Played quarterback. So he didn't play wide out, played quarterback. You're like, okay, well, how do we sign this guy? He's 150 pounds. You hadn't seen him play wide out. He's playing quarterback, but he can run. He can change direction. You can do all these things. So he had some smaller offers. He might have had one Division I, might have been App State maybe. That might have been an offer that he had. But, he was a Clemson guy. I've known his dad a long time. I had always recruited Myrtle Beach and Socastee and all that when I was on the road as an assistant. And his dad was a coach there for a long time, AD. So I had known Hunter, but, they were Clemson folks. And Coach Pierman did a nice job of kind of staying in touch and saying, we would take you as a preferred walk-on if you'd be willing to do that. I didn't promise him anything but an opportunity. And he shows up, and pretty quickly, same thing. You could see the skill, but he was just so weak. I think he benched 135 one time when he got here. And I think he still only benches about 235 one time. So he's way up, but this kid is a work in progress still. I mean, I think he's going to be a great NFL player one day. I think he's going to, eventually he'll be a 300-pound lifter, and eventually he's going to probably be a 188, 190-pound type of a body. But he's a baller. That's the thing about football is football players come in all shapes and sizes, and you step on the field, it's not always about, how big you are. That's why you see great players. And when you meet Hunter, never in a million years, if you didn't know who he was, would you ever pick him out as that's Hunter Renfro, if you just watch the tape. But he's worked his tail off. I mean, he's put on a little over 20 pounds, 20-plus pounds. He's right around that 180 right now. He's gotten, I know he's still weak comparatively, but he is Hercules compared to who he was when he got here. And so that strength has added confidence, and to go with all of his natural skills that he had. He's a very, very smart and savvy and influential player as far as how he runs routes, and he really understands the game. He's long. You know, you don't see him as big, but he's a really long kid, and he's got great leaping ability. He's got the fastest shuttle on our team. 5'10", he's the fastest guy we got. He's explosive, and that's what makes him special. You know, he's a legit, 4.4 something. So he's got the vertical speed to go with it. I mean, he's just a really good player. I'm really proud of him, but he's still a work in progress. He's a young player that when it's all said and done, and kind of the last coat of paint's put on him, he's gonna be something special. And he's already made a ton of big plays, but the guys have a lot of confidence in him. Never says a word, just works, just grinds.
Any other questions? Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys.